we're back. Today I want to talk to you about the power of a limited series podcast. Now, why would you ever consider doing a limited series podcast? Well, for one, starting a podcast and having episodes come out weekly is a daunting task. You may not realize it now, but I'm currently batch recording this certain number of weeks worth of episodes because I'm going on my honeymoon. And luckily, podcasting is what I do for a living, but that's not what, not everyone is able to do that. So adding in a podcast that you're going to do every single week is like it's like adding on a part-time job on top of everything that you have going on, whether it's your job, your wife, your kids, your husband, your badminton club, your pickleball tournaments. Adding a podcast into an already, what I would assume is a very busy schedule, can be a daunting task. So a limited series can be a way to get your feet wet. And if anything, it's nice to be able to just try it, see if you enjoy it, and then close the book on it and walk away if it's not for you. In terms of other benefits for a limited series, I think that it's also a great branding tool that you can offer to yourself, honestly. If you're looking to promote your area of expertise, if you're looking to really establish yourself as a thought leader, or you really just want to do something interesting and deep dive into a project, but you don't want to start a whole podcast around it, you can just do 6 episodes. Let's take a topic. Let's say that you want to cover the history of Sudoku. And I only say that because I'm looking at a Sudoku book right now. You don't want to start an entire podcast about Sudoku, but you do want to do something. You want to create some kind of content around it because it's a creative project, something interesting you want to do. You can do 6 episodes on the history of Sudoku. The first 2 episodes can be an oral history of articles or books that you find online talking about the history of Sudoku. And then episodes 3 and 4 can be interviews with people that are expert Sudoku players, people who knows? I'm sure there's famous people in the Sudoku world, but you can interview those people. And then 5 and 6 can be about strategy, about how to be a better Sudoku player. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. It could be Sudoku, doesn't matter. Wish there was a podcast about it, a limited series perhaps. Anyway, something like that can be a great creative outlet for you in terms of increasing your brand awareness or establishing yourself as a thought leader. It's the same thing. Just take that Sudoku concept. You can change it to any industry, any niche, apply it to a 6-episode series. First 2 episodes are a deep dive into the background and the history of X. The second 2 episodes are interviews with really prominent and really smart people. And the final 2 episodes it's sort of up in the air there. You can sort of mold it to whatever the niche asks for and whatever goal you're trying to pursue. This also lends to the fact that when you do start a podcast and you want it to be highly produced, those things cost money, and you do have to pay people to do that unless you're willing to learn it yourself. For a 6-episode series, you're really only paying a flat fee for 6 episodes to some kind of producer. If you were to outsource to me, I would charge you X, and then you and I don't have to work together again. However, if a podcast is something that you're not really sure about and you commit to doing weekly episodes, that hit that you're taking every week or every month or however your payment structures are set up, that starts to eat at you a little bit because you're like, man, I really wasn't committed to this. I wish I had started with something, limited and then decided to make the jump full time after that. That's the other great thing about this is you can keep the podcast going. Just because you start a limited series doesn't mean you have to stop at the end of it. If you really fall in love with being behind the microphone or being in front of the camera, just keep going. Have the limited series live as its own thing and then just start adding episodes on top of that. The series can live as its own thing, but you can continue to create episodes, continue to create content, find your voice as a podcaster or content creator, something like that. But I hope this was helpful. If you were sort of standing on the edge, teetering of whether or not you wanted to start a podcast or not, you don't have to jump all the way in, essentially is what I'm saying. You can dip your toe into the water with something like a limited series. And even if you're starting a limited series, knowing that it's only going to be a limited series and you're approaching it as this is something that's going to help brand me going forward. And once that book is shut on my podcasting career, then I'm done with it. That's a great approach too. Okay. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know on Twitter if it was or if it wasn't. You can follow the show on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can check out my newsletter. Links to everything are in the show notes below. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week.